So therefore, probably it's a simple and easy answer. I do want to add one thing, which is that although functional separation works really well in the UK, there is a need, obviously, to look at every single market. So one solution fits it all is never a good approach, in my view.
Well, I think I just showed the snapshot of the Romanian market, and to the extent that Romtelecom could be considered as a dominant player. Now, if for such a player someone should suggest functional separation, I think that would not be for the benefit of the economy of the country and the benefit of the investments in the telecom sector in Romania.
From what we are reading, Mrs. Reding is not going to demand for local incumbents to separate functionally. She's going to ask the local regulators to decide on such things if other remedies do not work. And of course, we have to wait and see. I am very skeptical about whether the local regulators will in fact try to impose such measures on their market. I heard a comment by Mr. Van Roenne about what happened in England. England has decades of a functioning free market in telecommunications and of regulation, and it still took them about 3 years, and I don't know how many before that, in studying the matter, to apply this functional separation. And the only argument which they use now to say it is successful is that the share of British Telecom has gone up. But by creating a monopoly which is regulated by Ofcom, which has a vested interest in this separation, how do we know that this is for the benefit of the consumer? In fact, how do we know that prices have gone down as much as they should have gone down? I mean, Ofcom created it, its child, it's going to make sure that it makes some profit. Thank you.
Can I just answer directly to that? Well, the success of the creation of Openreach is documented in not only the share price, but also the broadband penetration in the consumer market. There is actually, I think there's a slide in the annex of my presentation which demonstrates it as well. But I want to add one important third element to how we measure success. So the first one is the broadband penetration. But the second one, and well, actually also the third one, is the satisfaction of those that benefit from Openreach, and that these are our competitors. So as I mentioned beforehand, even the top management is measured by the customer satisfaction, and that it's related to delivery times, that it's related to repair times, and it's related to overall sort of management issues of Openreach. And that works apparently quite well. There's still hiccups here and there, and I wouldn't say it's completely happening without problems. But overall, it works quite well. However, doesn't mean that this exactly the same principle has to work in this country. I think here in this country, it's very important that regardless of the technology, the access overall is improved. So functional separation only for the fixed may not be the right solution. Making sure that there is equal access across all the technologies, that is what's really important. Maybe functional separation is one element of that.
Thank you. Mr. Gray?
Certainly, from a Vodafone point of view, we operate in a number of markets around the world on different bases. And I think that the principles of the right answer to the question you're raising as to what is right in the marketplace have come out in the different presentations today. So I may be repeating some of the points that have already been made. Firstly, and I think the single most important one, is that the right answer in Romania has to be developed for Romania. It has to be developed in the light of the current market conditions, the penetration of the country, and I think it aligned with the vision that the regulator is developing. When I talk about the recent conditions, I would recommend very strongly that the information used in considering this is the absolute most recent information. We heard from Mr. Millet earlier that Orange has seen 4 times the level of data in the last 4 months. This follows the launch of HSDPA. It's a pattern that we have seen in mobile markets all over the world. Data was introduced with mobile, but it's HSDPA that actually starts to make data usage real for people. So again, I would strongly recommend that in considering the future, then the regulator is working with the most recent information, because if we work to last published data, say a year ago, that will be way out of date. We're in a very fast-moving industry. With regards to separation, I don't see much difference in the separation. Things like introducing MVNOs, and we see MVNOs operate in a number of markets around the world. Sometimes they work and sometimes they work less well. But I think the critical factor here comes back to the points made earlier, which is for people to invest, and in particular today in Romania, investing around the margins, getting coverage out to the rural areas where the volume of business will be low, getting data access out into areas where it's not yet going to be used quickly, then operators need encouragement to invest and be able to take some of those risks. For the services that are coming in, we have to be able to take some risks. So again, I mean, my view on this is, it would be good if we continued much in the current format of actually operators being able to invest with confidence. And that comes back to the very last point emphasised by Mr. Vourloumis. The key to getting investment in the country is transparency and consistency. There's already some heavy investment that has gone in, but if you're playing football, if you're part way through the match and someone then decides that the other team are allowed to have a lot more players, it doesn't look like much of a fun game. And maybe next time you don't want to play that game. So from my point of view, at the end of the day, we're businessmen as operators, and all we want is a fair degree of transparency and consistency in the environment that we go out to play.
Thank you. Now Mr. Millet.
Well, I'm going to repeat what has been said by some of my colleagues, just to be short and complement. So I would say first on this debate, I agree that we have to look at the Romanian, what we want to achieve in Romania. So this can be, let's say, this debate, let's say, can be very conceptual, based on a lot of assessments, but we think that it's fundamental, and so we recognize the initiative on that to assess what we want to achieve in Romania in the next 4 years. What are the goals we pursue? For sure, the development and data and broadband is a real issue. We will define in the next 2 years whether the uptake and the success can be as big and as good as it has been for voice. That's what we are mainly focused. That's even in the statement of our brand. Our brand is about future. So I would certainly recommend that in any discussion we come back to assess what would be the specific benefits. I mean, how could we really work them and give figures next to them regarding to these objectives. Otherwise, it's back to let's say a very wide debate on which there would be a lot of different opinions.